and welcome to Married with Clix. We are doing our Fear Itself Month 5 breakdown for you. So for me, the team that I ended up building for this Month 5 was 500 points. And I built Atuma, Spider-Man, Sin, and... What else did I have on my team? Heimdall. There we go.
God, I remember your team.
Other than Sin, they're all characters that I actually hadn't played before. But this was the Pacific Ocean map. So actually pulling Atuma was really beneficial for me. So my first game, I played against a... Buddy Aiden had a Nercod, which is the mighty version, or sorry, the worthy version of Atuma, an Asgardian Troll, Sin, and Speedball. And yeah, so we both kind of moved out, and I was not taking into fact what Nercod actually did. So with the special rules on the Pacific Rim map, he got an extra 2 to his movement, and on turn 2, he came out with a really long running shot, and his power actually, as long as he occupies water terrain, he gets 10 range. So he had a massive running shot and came into my my Atuma and pulse waved, and it was single target pulse wave, so that pretty much neutered my Atuma. So I was like, at that point I wasn't familiar with Spider-Man, what he could really do, so I'm like, alright. I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, my big hitter, my big advantage has just broken away, because now Atuma no longer has his ability that stops you from doing power actions. And he's just taken 6 damage, because on top of the pulse wave, he got a critical hit. So he's just all bad. And also he has a power that gives him another damage for, I think it's being in water, gives him extra damage. Anyways, he was doing a buttload of damage. So I'm like, okay, I am gonna just focus on killing as many things as I can, which I actually managed to do. So I took down Nercod pretty easily, actually, using what was left of Atuma. And Spider-Man's charge flurry, and he has a flurry incapacitate kind of deal. If both attacks hit on the same character, you get to give them an action token. And I got really lucky, because at that point, Nercod was double tokened to be able to do that pulse wave on round 2, or turn 2. So that actually gave him an action token, which, under the new rules for incapacitate, gives him an unavoidable damage. So, knocked down Nercod, he was done. That's 215 points in my bag. So we went back and forth. He forgot he even had a troll at one point. And I managed to, I believe it was the Sin that I took down. Eventually he whittled down my team to nothing, but I walked away at a loss, but with 310 points, which is really, really high for a loss. So that was my first round, and then my second round, I went up against one of our newer players at the venue, Guy, and I'm not just saying that guy. His name's Guy.
Yes, his name was Guy. Guy's name was Guy. The guy's name was Guy.
So he was playing a Colossus, Valkyrie, a Thule Priest, Hawkeye, and he had an Atuma as well. So I kind of postured myself out, and he came full on aggressive. So I kind of decided that I needed to make a preemptive strike, and I had moved my team out in a cluster, keeping Heimdall pretty much in front of everybody, so that he his trait protected everyone because nobody can, well, if you move, you have to stop within 3 squares of him. So that kind of protected my Atuma, and I think I had Spider-Man out at that point. But he had come fully into me, and he moved forward with his Colossus. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of a rules flub. I've never played against Colossus. I hadn't pulled him, so I wasn't aware that he ignored character bases for his improved movement. And Guy didn't realize it either. So I had him actually stop with Heimdall's power. But from what I remember, it wasn't he wasn't coming in for a charge. He was just moving in. So it didn't make too much of a difference on it, but anyways, he had his Colossus stopped, and so I decided instead of taking a round to try and drop hammers, because I had a full book of skulls, I was just going to go full on out, and running shot with Sin, nicked him, I think, and then used her outwit, and then outwitted his impervious, had Spider-Man flurry. Both attacks hit, incapacitated, did an unavoidable damage, pretty much neutered Colossus. So his next turn, he was like, go, what do I do? But what he actually managed to do was bring his Atuma in to the middle of my cluster, which shut down everybody from using power actions, so that means I couldn't use my charges anymore, or running shots. I also had Atuma, which meant that he couldn't drop hammers on any of his characters, where he could drop the hammers, but his characters couldn't use the power action picked up. So then, for the rest of the game, no one was getting hammers. So the Atumas kind of went back and forth, attacking each other, and his Colossus was on his regen click, and he went aggressive, attacked my Spider-Man, and then I was able to take out his Colossus afterwards. So then it was kind of a matter of picking everybody else out. Heimdall came in to help Atuma attack Atuma. Sin was kind of everywhere taking on, she actually went forward to Valkyrie, and I decided that at this point I didn't mind pushing her. So Spider-Man and Sin took down Valkyrie, Heimdall and Atuma took down Atuma, and then he was just down to Hawkeye at full. And my Atuma was keeping his Hawkeye from doing running shot, but he was still incapacitating or trying to incapacitate, which unfortunately he couldn't make any of his attack rolls on the incapacitates. So then it came down to Spider-Man fell, Sin fell, with the fight with a Thule Priest and Valkyrie. So it was down to Heimdall, who was pretty neutered or pretty damaged at that point, Atuma, and Hawkeye. And then, with his Atuma gone, I could use Charge again. Both came into Hawkeye and just destroyed destroyed the Hawkeye. So he managed to get a fair amount of points. He got like 194, actually, 96. So that's a pretty decent loss, points-wise. And I wiped his team, which was just under the 500. So I was sitting at 1 loss, 1 win, with a lot of points because of my first game. So my third game, unfortunately, came up against our buddy Keith, and he had to leave the tournament, but he didn't want to screw me out of any points, so he was just like, okay, we're going to do a speed round. Because otherwise, if he had left, I was going to end up with a bye, which would have been a win, still a win for me, but then I would have gotten 0 points. So he's like, I don't think that's fair for you. This is a pretty big tournament. I want to give you some points. So we both kind of set ourselves out. Just went in, all-out brawl. He kept pushing his characters just to make it go as fast as he could. He wasn't really using a whole lot of strategy in attacking me. He was still attacking me, still coming in after my character, still doing damage, but between his, between him pushing all of his characters and me attacking, and then he wasn't rolling any of his super senses or anything like that, so I ended up getting a clean wipe on that within about, I think that round only took, it only took 5 minutes. So he ended up having a Speedball, a Sin, a Atuma, Spider-Man, and Priest. and a Thule Priest. So he had more characters than me, but like I said, him pushing, not rolling his super senses, stuff like that, I ended up wiping. So it was actually really nice. It was a fun little speed round. Really nice of him to do that, because otherwise, like I said, I would have gotten the bye, which still would have been a win for me, but then no points. So with our venue, we've got a little kind of system set up that if we get, I think we might have mentioned this before, if we get double the build totals, so I had to get at least 1,000 points, we got 2 rolls for fellowship. Unfortunately, that did nothing for me, as I rolled a 4 and then a 5 to try and beat a 12. So I didn't end up getting fellowship, but I did go, I did have 2 wins and only 1 loss. So it was a very, very good, well played tournament for me. I'm very proud with how I did with that. So that was my month 5.
On your computer. I don't want to talk about my feared self. Fucking. Alright. So 2 months in a row now, I have pulled Kurth, and 2 events in a row now I didn't play Kurth. I don't know why. I really should be playing him. That said, my pulls happen to include 2 of the Mighty Iron Fists, 1 of the Common Iron Fist, 2 Asgardian Trolls. The rest don't matter, because that's what I used. Because I figured the 3 Iron Fists are all close combat beasts. Asgardian Troll. Oh, what was the other figure I had? Red She-Hulk as well. I used Red She-Hulk. Can't stop using her. I figured that the Iron Fists are all close combat beasts. The Mighty Iron Fist is pretty amazing. Being a flyer, indomitable, and close combat awesomeness too. That said, first game against a fellow named Mike, playing Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and I don't remember what the other figure was. Came down to Black Widow and Ms. Marvel in the end. Red and Sin. That's what it was. So he moved his figures up. I moved my figures up. Took my second turn to hammer up my Iron Fist in Red She-Hulk, the Common Iron Fist, and base his Sin and Hawkeye with my Mighty Iron Fists. So he couldn't get the attacks off on my Iron Fists, lucky me, which is how I wanted that to go. I think he hit one of them with his Ms. Marvel once. Not a big concern. And it was a whole lot of... I had a really good, strong lead, but those Iron Fists aren't exactly great at taking shots in the face if they do get hit. So what ended up happening is I had a strong lead by killing the Hawkeye and the Sin. Both of them hammered up too. But the time started to whittle down. And I probably could have played it a little better. Either way, when time was called, last declared action was allowed. He used a breakaway to try to running shot. He did. He killed my Mighty Iron Fist, and in the end, he won by margin of 4 points. I hate that, because I hate games going to time. I'm really good about being fast with my turns, and I get a little impatient when people aren't as fast as me, but I have to deal with it because not everybody's the same speed. So going into the second round, I was already a little upset about that. My opponent was playing a team, and apparently the margin between him and his opponent was his opponent killed his Thule Priest, and that was it. That was all that died in the game prior. So his team was apparently really, really good. It was Greythoth. His name is Nathan. I've played him once before. He was using a Superboy Prime, and I was using a Thunderbolt team at the time. First tournament I won, only tournament I've won in a while. I'm not very good at this game, I guess. I couldn't hit anything, and when I did hit, like he had Speedball, Hawkeye, Greythoth, a Thule Priest, and Sin. He really intelligently placed his speedball. I hit it 4 times, and he rolled super senses 4 times. And then I hit it 2 more times, and he missed his super sense rolls. But it was a placement that did exactly what it was supposed to do, which was protect his Greethoth. I couldn't get to the Greethoth. The Greethoth did damage because he does 5 damage. And I'm going to call it bad positioning on my part. And yeah, 1 bad positioning in this game really costs you a lot. So I killed maybe 80 points in that game. 96, I don't know. It wasn't much. I didn't get much in that game. Because I couldn't hit anything. Third game, Brad was my opponent. He was using Heimdall and oh god, I'm really bad about remembering my teams this month. Mostly because I was really distracted. We had to bring all 3 of our kids with us. One of our babysitter kind of canceled on us, and we had to bring the kids with us. So I was really distracted and wasn't really paying attention to my opponent's teams as much as trying to wrangle kids and play. But that's it's no excuse. I'm really good at being able to do that. So, played against Brad. I managed to squeeze out a win on this one by proper hammer assignment and you know, it was Heimdall, Titania, a Monkey King, and I want to say a Troll. Asgardian Troll. Either way, proper hammer use. So what I did was I used my regular Iron Fist to attack his Heimdall because he ignores character bases. I gave Skirn's hammer to one of my mighty Iron Fists and took it to his Heimdall. Took my time getting there with my red She-Hulk, but his move and attackers were his Heimdall and his Titania, and because they were kind of occupied with Iron Fists, I was able to maneuver my other guys around at a slower pace and managed to squeeze out a win on that one. Not without losing things. I mean, I don't think I won a single game without... Well, I lost my whole team in 1 game. So, all in all, I'd have to say it wasn't the best I've ever played. Wasn't the best team I've ever built. Well, okay, I thought it was a really good team. It looked good on paper. But, I mean, Veer itself is winding down. We're getting into month 6. So I'm going to be happy to have all my hammers, having taken part in the events here. And if I'm lucky, pull out the Serpent in the last month of the tournament. So we'll see where everything goes, and hope it goes well from there.